everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night Facebook Live. I'm Alyssa, the nutritionist in here, and I'm also the owner of Soul Food Nutritionista. You know, I started this Facebook group really because when I was fixing my gut, struggling with IBS, fluctuating between diarrhea and constipation, I felt so alone. And one of the biggest things that I found was when I was seeking out help, I'd go to a practitioner and I'd see them for one appointment and they'd say, okay, here's some information, here's some pamphlets, go home and do that. And then I'd be alone and I'd have questions, I'd be experiencing symptoms and flares, and nothing seemed to be working. And so I felt so alone because no one was talking about what they were experiencing around me. No one was talking about poop. No one was talking about their bloating and their digestive issues. Everyone around me seemed to be fine. But what I came to learn was that people just weren't talking about it. And so I created this community to really help bring you guys together so that A, you know you are not alone, and B, so that we can get you some critical information, the critical pieces of information that have been missing for you too, just like they were for me. So today we are going to be talking about food. One of the number one things that people say to me is, Alyssa, I'm so scared to eat. I don't want to make it worse. Or I don't want to eat that in case it gives me pain. Or I don't want to eat that in case I have to run to the bathroom and I'm not sure where the closest bathroom is. And so many of you are stuck restricting your foods, taking laxatives, antidiarrheals, medications, supplements, following diets like the low FODMAP or GAPS, and the truth is that none of this is going to fix your gut. We need to get you on a complete gut repair system, and so that's exactly what I'm here to teach you how to do. So tonight, with regards to foods, the thing is that it's not the food's fault. I want you to repeat that after me. It is not the food's fault. What you will be finding on the World Wide Web is that everyone out there is telling you that you need to stop eating all these foods and go on restrictive diets like the low FODMAP. And here's the truth, is that restrictive diets are going to do more damage than good in the long term. We need good, healthy foods. Do we really believe that a good, healthy food is the cause of our body, being a hot mess, right? I don't think that that's the case, right? It doesn't really make sense that all of these health foods are all of a sudden bad for us and that we shouldn't be eating things like broccoli or things like beans or nuts and seeds or other good quality foods. It just doesn't make sense. So we have to start questioning some of the things that we're reading on the internet and start getting in touch with qualified practitioners who know how to take you to the finish line. So here is the thing. I want you to ask yourself, if you are reacting to a food, first of all, I want to hear from you. So let me know in the comments below here which foods, when you eat them, are causing a reaction. Let me know, is it cheese? Is it broccoli making you fart? Is it bread giving you diarrhea? I want to hear from you in the comments, so let me know what foods are reacting and what symptoms are coming from that. So once you've identified there are specific foods that your body's like, this is not working for me, I'm going to give you diarrhea, or I'm going to give you bloating and make you feel like you're 9 months pregnant. I want you to just take a moment and pause, because at this point, I'm quite sure, because I get messages from hundreds of you on a daily basis asking me these things. I'm quite sure you're thinking, I just need to stop eating that food. But what happens if you can eat one food one day and feel perfectly fine and eat it the next day and have a reaction? Then what? Or what happens when all of the foods are reacting? Then what? I've had so many clients come to see me and they're living on such restrictive diets, oh my gosh, they're hardly eating anything. And what ends up happening is they're miserable because they can't go out and live their life. They can't go out to restaurants. They end up having to obsess over foods and drinks. They are constantly in the kitchen, food prepping everything from scratch. They are bored and tired of bland foods, and they just feel absolutely miserable around food, and still their bodies are not getting any better. So restrictive diets are not the answer. You really need to ask yourself, why is it that my body is reacting to that food? Why is it? Why? Have we ever asked that before? No. We go on the internet and all these people out there, they're saying, oh, you react to this food, just take it out. You should do an elimination diet. Take out all of the foods, all the good stuff, take it out. And the bad stuff, but especially there's people out there promoting taking out good whole foods because they think that's going to fix your gut. I call bullshit. And you know what? You guys wouldn't be here in this group if what you were doing was working. So the truth is that restrictive diets aren't working, right? With much love and compassion here, guys. What you're doing isn't working, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So I want you to start asking, why is it that my body is reacting to these foods? And that is where the answer lies, is that there are deep-rooted imbalances happening within your gut, and we need to go fix that. You can take out all the foods in the world, but if your stomach is underactive and you're struggling to break down foods, it doesn't matter what you eat or don't eat, your stomach is not going to get any better. We got to go fix that first. Is this making sense to everyone? Right? I hope so. Let me just catch up. I'm seeing lots of comments here. Okay, gravy makes me bloat really bad. Still trying to figure out the rest. Okay, gluten, dairy, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, pork, ... I'm assuming that list goes on. Brittany's saying that's me for sure. Whoops, there we go. Hey, Michelle, finally found me. Sophia's saying, yes, BS, you're such a legend, thank you. We just need to be honest about it, right? And here's the deal. I've been in your shoes, and I'm tired of people beating around the bush with bullshit, right? I'm tired of seeing practitioners and inexperienced people out there trying to guide others in how to fix their gut and telling you that all you need to do is take Metamucil, or all you need to do is take a probiotic. All you need to do is follow the low FODMAP diet. I'm sorry, none of this is going to work. And in the Love and Trust Your Guts program, the program that I've created, we walk you through a 4-step gut repair system that completely addresses all of the underlying imbalances. So that's where we need to get to. We need to really get to the root imbalance and fix from there. So Brittany says, I go with my body hates me. Your body does not hate you. It does not hate you. Don't think that. So here's the thing. Your body is sending you a gift. I know. I may have lost you there for a half a second, but bear with me. Your body is sending you a gift in the way of diarrhea, constipation, gas, bloating. These are gifts from your body. I know you might be cursing my name at home listening to this right now, but I'm telling you, this is a gift. Here's why. Your body is trying to communicate with you. The problem is that we've been taught symptoms are bad, they're inconvenient, they hurt us, they ruin us, they take away our freedom. We have all these negative feelings towards our symptoms, but they are messages coming from your body saying, hey, I need some more good bacteria, or hey, I need help digesting my foods, or hey, stop eating those shitty inflammatory foods, right? And the problem is that we haven't been told or taught or trained how to understand these messages coming from our body. We've been taught to get medications that will shut up our body, that will numb the symptom, will prevent our body from communicating the symptom. So your body does not hate you. It's saying, help me, Brittany, throw me a bone, right? It's asking for some help, and my job is to help you understand what those messages really are. Get you guys on the same page. Hey, Brenda. Okay, Melina's saying, been there, done that, didn't like it. Okay, everyone's saying, makes sense. List goes on and on. Okay, amazing. Hey, Gail. All right, so let's just get right down to brass tacks. I know that you guys are wondering what the heck to eat. what the heck not to eat. And when there's so much fear around eating, I can totally understand why you might not want to eat at all, or you're resorting to your safe foods. Am I right? So, first things first, what the heck is a flare? I've had a couple people reach out and ask me, so I want to address that right off the top. If you are experiencing any sort of extreme symptoms, so diarrhea, you have not been able to stop the violent diarrhea, you maybe haven't gone poop in a couple of days or even a week or even a couple of weeks, God forbid. If you're experiencing cramping or pains in your stomach, if you have mucus in your stool, blood in your stool, and I will say if you have blood in your stool, please go see your doctor immediately. And then, of course, typically with these extreme circumstances, gas and bloating are going to be present likely. But if you're experiencing just gas and bloating, you're probably not in a flare. You just need some digestive support. So when you are feeling like you just cannot cope, your body is preventing you from living your life because of either violent diarrhea or constipation, pain, again, mucus, anything like that happening in your stools, you are in a flare. So if you are in a flare, we need to get you on to some really specific foods to help you get out of that flare immediately. Am I right? No one wants to hang out in a flare, and I will say that you can remain in a flare. So I had someone ask me today, Alyssa, can a flare last for like 6 months? And I said, absolutely it can, absolutely. So we want to get that flare halted so that you can start healing and carrying on with your life. And food is the number one thing we need to start with. So let's first talk about the foods that you want to avoid. So the foods that you want to avoid, first and foremost, are inflammatory foods. Now you might be wondering, Alyssa, what the heck are inflammatory foods? We're going to talk about it. First one, dairy. I know, we all love cheese, we love our yogurts, and we love our milk and all that stuff, ice cream. It's not helping you. It's causing inflammation. It is going to absolutely annihilate your gut. Whether you have a sensitivity to dairy or not, it is hurting your gut, and you will not heal so long as dairy is in your diet, okay? Now, that might seem a little bit strict. This is something that we need to do, especially when we are rolling out a digestive healing protocol, so that we can get rid of the inflammation so your body can focus on healing. If you're constantly sending in a barrage of inflammatory foods, your body is constantly going to be fighting the inflammation and not focusing on repairing the damage that's already done. So you're never going to get ahead. You're going to remain in flare, remain in symptoms. So dairy is the first one. The second one, you're probably not going to be surprised by this, but gluten. Okay, wheat and gluten products definitely need to go. Same as dairy, super inflammatory, not helping you heal. And I want you guys to know that if you need help swapping these foods out, let me know in the comments here, and I will absolutely provide you with my best dairy-free, gluten-free food swaps. We're going to support you and make sure that you are able to swap these out without feeling deprived, right? The worst thing is when you have to take out a food, but you don't know how to replace it, and so you end up living on, some single food group, right? When you don't have any foods to eat. Now, I will say again, I do not believe in restrictive diets. Dairy and gluten are about the only two big things that I encourage people to take out. Sure, there might be some other individual tweaks depending on your individual body, but we really don't need to be weighing our broccoli because, if you eat X amount of broccoli, it's too much FODMAP, okay? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So, dairy and gluten definitely need to go. Now, let's talk about spicy foods, because I'll be honest, I'm out of sriracha right now, and it feels like a small piece of me has died because I put sriracha on everything. I love spicy foods. And the truth is that I haven't always been able to eat spicy foods because when my gut was not happy, it did not like the spice. You too may be experiencing that, and so I will say that if you are in a flare, spicy foods need to go. Now, sugar. Sugar is a really common favorite food, we'll say, right? Who here has a sweet tooth? Give me a hell yes in the comments, or a hand up in the comments. Say me, that's me. I'm a sugar addict, right? Who here loves their sugar? So the thing about sugar is it is feeding bad bacteria. We talked about why is your body reacting to foods? It's because of the underlying imbalances. Well, one of the underlying imbalances can be an imbalance in your good to bad bacteria. And so if you're eating a plethora of sugar, you are feeding your bad bacteria. So absolutely take out all sugars, especially when you're in a flare. Now, I want to talk about raw vegetables and grains for a second. Raw vegetables are tough to digest. So if you're in a flare, it's not that vegetables need to be eliminated. You need to eat your vegetables. Just please steam them. Let's cook them. Let's roast them. We just need to take the edge off of that crunch, okay? So cooked vegetables is where you want to go. Avoid the raw vegetables. Now grains are not bad. We don't need to be taking out grains, but I'm mentioning grains because for some particularly angry tummies, they don't like grains. Some. I'll tell you right now, all my clients right now, I only have one client who is grain-free, and that is a temporary change while we get her gut healing. So I'm not saying that everyone should be off grains. I'm saying that if you have put yourself, or if you have started a full gut repair system, you have been eating anti-inflammatory foods, easy to digest foods, and you're still finding things aren't jiving well, then you might need to look at things like brown rice or rice in general as a potential irritant. Okay, there's one other thing I want to talk to you about as far as foods to avoid, and that is processed foods. Your body cannot break down processed foods. If you have ingredients in there that are not English, this is processed. If your food has a label on it, it's processed. So you really want to be focusing on foods that don't require a label or ingredient list, okay? So processed foods include processed meats. So if you are eating cured, vacuum sealed, smoked, these types of meats, you definitely want to swap these out when you're in a flare. And again, I will remind you, this is when you are in a flare. This is not a forever thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to touch on this. Melina said, definitely need help in that department. I use lactose-free and whole wheat breads. So lactose-free, guys, is not enough. All they've done is taken the lactose, which is the milk sugar, out of the dairy product, but it's still dairy. It's still inflammatory. So you really need to come off all dairy, including lactose-free. And then whole wheat breads. So whole wheat is still wheat, it's still got gluten in it, it's still inflammatory. So I would encourage you to check out gluten-free bread that is brown rice based. There are lots of gluten-free products on the market that are garbage. So please make sure that you are looking for good quality ingredients that are things like brown rice. Some have chia seeds or millet in them, but making sure that you're getting whole food ingredients when you're buying gluten-free products. I will say too that rye bread, or rye in general, is wheat free, but it's not 100% gluten free. It has a small portion of gluten in it. I find that most people can tolerate rye, and so I will say Dimplemeyer's is one brand. They have a dark rye bread. It's a square, dense, really thin slice, and it's dark in color. That is their 100% rye bread. They also make light rye, which is wheat flour with a little bit of rye bread in it, or rye flour in it. Okay, so that's not what we're looking for. You're looking for 100% rye, or going 100% gluten-free with something like a brown rice bread. All right, Michelle says, feel better, dairy-free, no bread, but likely eating hidden gluten in foods I'm not aware of. Yes, for sure. So gluten is hidden in many places, but again, if we are eating foods that don't have a label, then you should be in the clear. You'll be good to go. this is just a fun fact for you. Did you know that envelopes, when you lick the envelope, it's gluten? Did you know that? So those that are celiac, don't be licking envelopes, all right? Okay, Brittany says, almond milk okay? Absolutely. Tanya, hey Tanya. So Tanya says, thornberry bread, absolutely. Now in Ontario here, I know that thornberry bread is available for sure. For those that are out of province or country, I'm not sure if I don't believe thornberry goes outside of country, but you can take a look. Okay, so foods to avoid. Again, quick summary: inflammatory foods such as dairy, gluten, and sugar. We want to avoid processed foods, we want to avoid spicy foods, and we want to avoid raw vegetables. Okay, Elaine says, I heard sourdough bread was a good choice. Great question. So sourdough, fermented dough, so better, but if it's still with a wheat flour or glutinous flour, then it's still inflammatory. Although easier to digest, a little bit easier to digest, still inflammatory. Okay, so let's talk about what you should be eating. Just keeping an eye on the time. Let's talk about what we should be eating when you are in a flare or when you're trying to fix your gut. So this is typically where I find most people have resistance around this. I'm not 100% sure why, because I think it's because of the fear. And you guys let me know in the comments if this is the fear factor for you. So typically I find when people are in flares, they resort to things like bread. Who here does that? When you're in a flare, you're like, I just want to eat some toast or have some cheese or something like that. What is your food that you go to when your stomach is not feeling hot? Let me know in the comments there. The foods that we want to get to eating, though, are super, super easy to digest foods, healing, nutrient-dense foods, okay? So let's talk through some of these. First things first, I want you to really be focusing on liquid foods. I don't want you going 100% liquid diet. That's very, very rarely necessary. Having said that, we really want to focus on foods such as soups, stews, bone broth. These are some really easy to digest liquids. Actually, I should add in there vegetable juice as well. So not like fruit juice, not store-bought juice, but cold pressed vegetable green juice. Green juice, my friends, no fruit, okay? So super nutrient dense. These liquids, what that means is the foods are pre-digested, okay? There's partly broken down from either the cooking for the soup or with the vegetable juices, the fiber has been removed, so it's not going to irritate. What it's doing is going straight to the vein. It's like a shot of energy right to the vein, and your body's able to get the essential nutrients that it needs to A, be able to heal, and B, not have to work so darn hard to digest. Okay, remember your gut is struggling to digest foods, so we want to throw it a bone and give it some easy to digest foods. Okay. Okay, so Bianca says, definitely bread is hard to resist. It feels like it will settle my stomach, or saltines, for sure. So again, this is the thing, is we resort to these foods, but these foods are so inflammatory, they're actually keeping your gut a mess. So as much as I'm sure it feels like it's settling, it's almost sitting a little bit, not heavy, that's not the right word, but it's settling and kind of settling that upset tummy, it's really not helping. But when you put something like a soup or a bone broth or vegetable juice in there, your body's able to, again, just absorb those nutrients right up without having to fuss around with digesting. Okay. So great question, Bianca. Green juice with steamed vegetables, or can it not be steamed? So with vegetable juices, this is raw juice. Okay, so raw vegetables that are put through a juicer. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, Alyssa, you just told us not to do raw vegetables. I know, but remember, juice has the fiber removed from it. So it's just liquid. There's no fiber in it. So when you're eating the raw vegetables, it's that fiber that can be irritating to the bowels. So raw vegetable juice is going to be ideal. If you're doing a smoothie, however, you're just blending all the ingredients so the fiber is remaining in the smoothie. So that's different. I don't encourage smoothies. Okay. Brittany just asked, added sugar or is fruit a no-go? What did you mean by added sugar? Just if you can clarify that in the comments. Fruit is totally fine. We're going to get to fruit in a second. Yes, Tanya Lynn's making pumpkin soup as we speak. I saw that, and you're going to try jarring. Good luck to you. When I first did it, mine exploded about 3 months later because I clearly didn't do it right. So I lost my whole batch of squash soup. Okay. Kimberly's saying, usually I resort to sugar-free Jell-O. It's good to have healthier options. For sure. So Kimberly and everyone else watching, on my website, soulfoodnutritionista.com/blog, you can hop over to the recipes tab there, and I have an awesome apple zinger gummy bear recipe, which is similar to a Jell-O, but that's the kind of thing that you want to get to. So it has gelatin powder in there, apple cider vinegar, lemon, honey, some really good things to help heal the gut. So that's the kind of thing that I'd rather you do than, even if it's a sugar-free Jell-O, there's lots of crazy ingredients and color dyes and everything in there that aren't good for you. Okay, you mean eliminating sugars. Yeah, so eliminating sugar is ideal, but fruit is totally fine. I don't recommend smoothies because they can be irritating and hard to digest for people who have digestive troubles. That doesn't mean that I think people should never drink smoothies. We just need to drink smoothies that are easier to digest. So ingredients for a smoothie could be things like collagen powder, avocados. Spinach, I would say, would be the vegetable I'm most comfortable recommending. It's easier to blend up and digest than something like a kale. And then adding things like honey and even herbal teas into your smoothie can make your tea not only more nutrient dense, but also easier to digest, as opposed to a big blender full of too much fruit and tough to digest veggies. So if you're finding you can drink smoothies and they're not irritating you, that's fine, but just know that smoothies are hard to digest. Okay. Okay, almond butter, totally fine. Totally fine. So that actually brings me to my next thing, which is eating healthy fats. Healthy fats. So things like almond butter are good. You might struggle with eating like the whole nut or seed, but this is where we have to meet your individual body where it's at, right? There's no, one size fits all here. Each and every single one of you is going to need a different food list than myself or anyone else here, okay? So we really need to customize it for you. So almond butter's fine. Again, avocados, fish oils. So if you've downloaded my free IBS Be Gone cheat sheet, you'll notice that in that cheat sheet, I recommend fish oil. Fish oil is super anti-inflammatory, great for reducing anxiety, healing the bowels, and then also settling the angry bowels by reducing inflammation. So definitely encourage healthy fats. So fruit in moderation is totally fine. We talked about that. Drinking lots of water is going to be essential. If you are not drinking enough water and you are dehydrated, then you're actually hurting your gut, okay? It's not just about, I say you should drink lots of water because it's good for you. It's not about that. Not drinking enough water, studies have shown, actually reduce your digestive enzymes. They reduce your good bacteria. They can affect your bowel movements, either contributing to constipation or diarrhea. And so it really does affect the functioning of your gut. So making sure you're drinking enough water is essential, especially, I was going to say especially if you have diarrhea, but truthfully, if you have diarrhea or constipation, you need water either way. Okay, clean protein. Clean clean protein. So again, no processed meats, meaning we want whole protein, right? Like a chicken breast. We want to have a piece of fish. When we start to do things like turn it into beef jerky, or we vacuum seal it, or we smoke it and things like that, it becomes inflammatory. So making sure that you're eating, again, whole protein, clean protein is going to be much easier on your tummy. So what this would look like on your plate could be some chicken or fish with steamed vegetables. Remember, we're avoiding the raw. And then you could add something like sweet potato or squash, which are going to be some really easy to digest carbohydrates that will help to fuel you, but also settle your stomach. If you wanted, you could do quinoa. Again, I like to add sweet potato and squash and even pumpkin puree when we are in a flare. Okay. Kimberly says, I have a lot of trouble getting in enough. Sorry, someone just called me. So, I used to be the exact same. I used to be a terrible, terrible water drinker. Here's what I had to do. I had to start setting water rules. So making sure that I'm drinking 1 liter by lunchtime and then finishing off another liter sometime before bed. So if you don't start drinking in the morning, chances are you're going to be behind and not get enough for the rest of the day. Is it okay to bake the chicken if it's plain? Totally fine. I love doing turmeric chicken lately, so I'll add turmeric, some oregano, some salt, and I will bake that, and it's super delicious. The turmeric adds almost just a touch of sweetness to it. It's so good. You got to try it. All right, and the last thing that I want you to be adding in when you're in a flare is tea. So things like peppermint tea, ginger tea, turmeric tea, these are all really great teas that are going to help to support healing of your gut. So I know that this feels probably ginormous, where to start, what to eat. So if you are needing additional support, you're trying to figure out, okay, that's great, we have an idea of what to eat, what to avoid, but you want to know what that might look like on your plate and some meal ideas to make that happen, then jump in the comments below and let me know. Say, Alyssa, I need some meal inspiration. I need some meal ideas, and I'll be happy to pop into the comments and support you guys with some different meal ideas that are going to be anti-inflammatory, that you can enjoy when you're in a flare and even when you're not in a flare, that are really going to help support gut healing. So guys, I'm out for tonight. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. I'm gonna let you know right now, Eric, my partner, he's surprising me this weekend. He's taking me away. I have no clue where we're going. And so I'm going to be signing off. I'm not going to be online Friday through Sunday, but I'll be back at it Monday to support all you guys and get all your questions answered. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.